Okay, welcome back to our final lesson for Lab 7 Remote Access RDP. Lesson 3, using the built-in VPN client to create VPN connection. VPN service permits remote users to access corporate networks securely over a public network as if they are directly connected on the corporate network. It also allows users to use dial-up communication links to access the corporate network. A virtual private network (VPN) is a point-to-point connection across a private or public network, such as the Internet. A VPN client uses special TCP/IP-based protocols called tunneling protocols that establish a secure channel between two computers through which they can send data. From the perspective of the two participating computers, there is a dedicated point-to-point link between them, though in reality the data is routed through the Internet as would be any other packet. Site-to-site VPN connect entire networks to each other, such as connecting a branch office network to a company headquarters network. In a site-to-site VPN, hosts do not have VPN client software. Remote access VPNs connect individual hosts to private networks such as teleworkers who need to access their company's network securely over the Internet. In a typical VPN deployment, a client initiates a virtual point-to-point connection to a remote access server over the Internet. In a remote access VPN, every host must have VPN client software. Now that the RRAS with VPN connections configuration has been explored, you will explore the configuration options of a VPN client connection to the remote VPN server. So lesson 3.1, we're going to explore the configuration options of a VPN client connection to the remote VPN server. Step 1. Click on the Windows 2K8 R2 external icon in the topology diagram and use the instructions in the lab settings section to log into the Windows 2K8 R2 external machine. This machine will be used to represent a client machine on public networking accessing the VPN server on the private corporate network. So we're going to go to the topology, and as you can see, in the internal network, we have the Windows 2K8 R2 internal 1, internal 2, and the backtrack 5 internal. But on the external network, we have the Windows 2K8 R2 external, which we will be utilizing for this lab as an example of being external and connecting internal. So we're going to select this, and it will open up the external tab. I have already logged in, so the prompt window is not there for me to log in, but in case you still need to log in and haven't done so, you can click on the down arrow of the tab and select the Send Control-Alt-Delete button here, and it'll give you the login prompt. Step 2. If the initial configuration task and/or server manager window appears, close them by clicking the X in the top right corner of the window, which I did earlier when I first initially logged in, so it is not there currently. So we will move to step 3, where it tells us to locate the network connection icon in the right corner of the taskbar and click it. This will bring up the link to Open Network and Sharing Center, and click on the link and Open Network and Sharing. Unfortunately, I do not have that icon here on the bottom, but there's another way we can get to it, which is by going to Start. And if we actually type in this search option for network sharing and sharing, you can see it's listed right up here on the top, Network and Sharing Center. That will bring up the window we need. Now click on Set up a new connection or network. That option is down here in the bottom menu. Underneath Change Your Networking Settings, we'll see an option for Set up a new connection or network, and when you hover over it, it will actually underline as a link. And when you click on it, it will open up the wizard to set up a connection or network. Here, we're going to click Connect to a Workplace and then select Next. Then we're going to click on Use My Internet Connection VPN. Because there is no internet connection in this configuration, you will proceed by choosing I'll set up an internet connection later. And once you click on it, you will be asked to provide the IP address and the internet connection. So I'm going to click on Use My Internet Connection. And then we have the I'll set up an internet connection later down here on the bottom, and select that. And we will have options to enter in an IP address and a destination name. And in step 7, it tells us what we will be typing out in the internet address field and as explained, it says type in the IP address of the NIC on the Windows 2K8R2 external machine, and that IP address is 131.107.0.100 in this internet address field. Then we go to the destination name and type in internal. Oops, I need to erase all this. Type in internal with a capital I, space 1, and then we're going to select next. And actually leave these boxes unchecked since it didn't tell us check any of those connections. Now it is prompting us for a username and password. On step 8, where it is provided, it says on the connection to a workplace page, type the username administrator with a capital A. In the administrator field, in the username field, and then in the password field, we're going to type in password with this unique camel case password with capital P, and then we're going to press Shift 2 for the @ sign, and then lowercase ss, W, and then a 0 for the O, and then a lowercase rd. You will receive the message that your connection is ready to use, and then click close, and then next to continue. So we're going to go ahead and select create first. That will give us our window showing that we will be connected, and then we will hit close. Although you will not be able to connect to the remote server, you can explore the process by using the VPN client connection. Click on the network connection icon in the right corner of the taskbar. You will now see the dial-up and VPN connection drop-down menu with the new VPN connection that you configured, and click on Internal 1 link. Now again, we do not see that option here, so we are just going to go straight to Connect to a Network, which should bring up that menu. There we go. And here is our Internal 1 link. And when we click on it, it'll bring us a drop down to the Connect button. And we're going to select Connect. The other way to get to this is actually through the Start menu. And then type in Network Connection. And then View Network Connections. And in here, you can also select Internal 1, disconnect it, and right click and select Connect. But let's go back to the menu that they had provided us to go through. So go back to Connect to a Network, and then we'll select Internal, and then we will select Connect. Here it is prompting us for a password. So it says step 10, click Connect, and you will be asked to type in a username and password for an account on the remote server to be authenticated to the VPN connection and access the remote network resources. Use the username administrator and password that we had entered previously. An attempt will be made to connect to the server, but you will receive an error. This is due to not having completed configurations that are outside the scope of this lab. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and try it anyways. They've already entered in the administrator username for us. We just need to now enter the unique camel case password, which is capital P, Shift 2 for @ lowercase ssw, 0 for the O, and then RD for password. and then we're going to select Connect. It says it's verifying the username and password. This can take a while. There's our error message. It says, however, if you click on the Diagnose button, it will indicate that the client is configured correctly, but the server is not responding. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And as you can see, it's giving you a status bar to show you that it's going through the diagnosis process. And there we have it. We got our error message, of course, showing that the client is configured, but the server is just not responding. So we're going to close all these windows. And go over our conclusion. VPN service permits remote users to access corporate networks securely over a public network as if they are directly connected to the corporate network. It also allows users to use dial-up communication links to access the corporate network. A VPN client uses special TCP IP-based protocols called tunneling protocols that establish a secure channel between two computers through which they can send data. From the perspective of the two participating computers, there is a dedicated point-to-point link between them, though in reality the data is routed through the internet as would be any other packet. Now for our review questions. Number 1. Blank VPNs connect entire networks to each other. Now fill in the blank. The blank should be site-to-site. VPNs connect entire networks to each other. Number 2. In a blank, every host must have VPN client software. That blank should be remote access VPN. So let me read it again. In a remote access VPN, every host must have VPN client software. Number 3. TCP IP-based protocols called blank establish a blank between two computers through which they can send data. The answer should be tunneling protocols and secure channel. Let's read that one more time with the answers. TCP IP-based protocols called tunneling protocols establish a secure channel between two computers through which they can send data. And that concludes our lesson for Lab 7 Remote Access RDP. Thank you and see you again.